Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're demystifying a platform that is absolutely crucial for any aspiring software developer. We're talking about GitHub. Now, you might be thinking of it as, just a place to store your code, but today, we're going to reframe that entirely. We are looking at GitHub as your ultimate digital resume. It's the exact tool that takes you from being a beginner building solitary projects to a collaborative professional who's ready to land that very first software development job.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering Git versus GitHub explained, the daily developer workflow, essential Git terminal commands, forking and open source, and we'll wrap up with building a professional profile. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, Git versus GitHub explained.
So I want you to imagine a total nightmare scenario. Picture this. You've been building an amazing application for weeks right there on your local computer. It is the absolute crown jewel of your portfolio, and then out of nowhere, your laptop just crashes. Or what if you get stuck and desperately need to collaborate with a developer halfway across the world, but your code is entirely trapped on your local hard drive? Coding in total isolation is risky, and honestly, it really limits your growth. A lot of beginners actually get these two terms completely tangled up, so let's clear it up. On one hand, we have Git. Git is essentially the tool itself. It's a version control system that lives locally on your computer, and its entire job is to meticulously track every single change you make to your code. But then we have GitHub. GitHub is the cloud-based platform that actually uses Git. It takes those local files and securely hosts them online. It is literally the global hub where millions of developers and massive companies, think Google, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, go to manage projects and collaborate. Basically, Git is the engine on your computer, and GitHub is the global highway.
Moving right along to section 2, the daily developer workflow.
To understand how real teams actually use these tools together every single day, we have to start with the most basic building block of it all, the repository, or just repo for short. Think of a repo simply as a highly organized master folder for your project. It holds your source code, your files, your documentation, and the entire history of every version ever saved. And what's cool is these repos can be public, meaning anyone in the world can see them, which is perfect for your portfolio, or they can be private, restricted to just you and your specific team. So what does a professional actually do with a repository on, say, a Tuesday morning? Well, they follow these 4 fundamental steps: branching, committing, pushing, and creating pull requests. A pull request is really just asking the team to review and approve your code before it goes live. And let me tell you a secret right now. Hiring managers look specifically for candidates who understand this exact sequence. Why? Because it proves you can collaborate safely on a team without accidentally deleting someone else's hard work. So how do we actually solve team conflict? Let's look at branching. When you work at a company, the main branch is sacred. It's the live working version of your app. You don't just go in and edit it directly. Instead, you create a branch. This allows one developer to safely build out a brand new login page on their branch, while another developer is independently working on, let's say, integrating credit card payments on their branch. Neither of you affects the main project until your code is totally ready and tested. Now, once you make some progress on your branch, you need to save it, and that brings us to commits. A commit is literally like a saved checkpoint in a video game. Whenever you make a meaningful update, you create a commit to record that history. It allows you and your team to track exactly what was updated, understand the overall progress of the project, and, crucially, if something completely breaks, you can easily load up that old checkpoint and restore a previous working version. Next up, section 3, essential Git terminal commands. If you want to look like a pro, you really need to be comfortable in the terminal. It's a rhythm. First, you type git init to start tracking your local folder. Then, git remote add origin securely connects your local folder up to your cloud-based GitHub repo. When you've finished a feature, you type git add dot to prep all your updated files. Next is git commit -m, followed by a descriptive message. That's your save checkpoint. And finally, the magic command, git push. Remember our push and pull concepts? Pushing sends your local genius up to the cloud repository, while pulling downloads any new updates from your team. This exact sequence is the absolute heartbeat of modern software development. Let's transition to section 4, forking and open source. Understanding how you as an individual can interact with massive public projects is done through a feature called forking. Forking simply means making your own personal copy of someone else's repository. It's incredibly powerful because it allows a newcomer to safely take a massive project, modify the code, add entirely new features, and just experiment without any fear of breaking the original creator's live code. And why does forking matter so much? Because it's the engine of open source contribution. Open source projects make their source code publicly available for anyone to see and improve. We're talking about massive, world-changing software here, like Linux, the React framework, Node.js, and essential Python libraries. By forking these repositories, you can actually suggest improvements, using that pull request we talked about, to the owners of these giant projects. If they approve it, your code gets merged into software used by millions. Contributing to open source helps you learn professional workflows, massively builds out your portfolio, and gives you direct industry experience. In fact, tons of tech companies actively hunt for new hires by looking at who is contributing to open source projects.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, Building a Professional Profile.
As we said earlier, your GitHub profile is not just a storage locker, it is a living, breathing resume. When a recruiter or a senior engineer clicks your link, they are actively evaluating you. They're looking at your pinned projects. They're checking your coding activity and your open source contributions. They want to see your actual skills in action. But most importantly, they look at your development consistency. Are you coding regularly? Or did you just upload one project a year ago and disappear? Building a strong, active profile dramatically increases your opportunities in this industry. Now, a huge beginner mistake is poor communication. We have all seen, or let's be honest, written a panicked commit message at 2 a.m. that just says, "fixed bug." To a hiring manager, this shows a serious lack of teamwork. What bug? Where? Instead, writing something like "fixed login button error" is clear, specific, and helps your team understand the project's history. Professionalism is entirely in the details, and writing meaningful commit messages proves that you're ready to work alongside others. Another hallmark of a mature developer is documentation, specifically the README file. Every single repository should have one. If a recruiter lands on your project and there's no README, they're probably just going to click away. Your README needs to clearly explain the project's purpose, outline its main features, provide simple installation steps, and list the technologies and languages you used. Professional repositories always include proper documentation, mostly because it proves you care about the user experience of your code. Okay, before you rush off to upload all your projects right now, we really need to talk about the single most dangerous beginner mistake. Never, ever upload sensitive information to a public repository. If you accidentally push passwords, private API keys, or database credentials, you have just broadcasted them to the entire internet. Automated bots constantly scrape GitHub looking for leaked keys, and it can literally cost you or your company massive amounts of money. Always, always double-check what files you're adding before you push. Well, we've covered the core concepts today, from the local power of Git to the global collaboration of GitHub. We've walked through the daily branching and committing workflow, those essential terminal commands, and how open source contributions can really fast-track your career. Remember, GitHub is not just a coding website. It is the biggest developer community in the world, and mastering it is your absolute gateway to a professional career. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Every single line of code you push tells a story about the developer you are becoming. What is your digital resume going to say about you? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep.
If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, like this video, comment your favorite programming language, subscribe to Future Break Coder, because many exciting coding and futuristic tech videos are coming soon.